Episode 5. The System Collapse: How Thailand's 2025 Policy Avalanche is Crushing Expat Dreams. 3 months ago, I received a message that changed everything I thought I knew about the expat crisis in Thailand. It wasn't from a subscriber this time. It was from someone inside the system. A Thai immigration officer who'd been watching my series and wanted to share what he called the real numbers. "You think the stories you're telling are bad?" his message read. "You haven't seen anything yet. What's happening in 2025 isn't just individual failures or bad planning. The entire system is collapsing, and we're watching it happen in real time." What he told me next made me realize that everything we've covered in the previous 4 episodes, the financial traps, the scam networks, the medical bankruptcies, the frozen pensions, they weren't separate problems. They were symptoms of something much bigger: the systematic dismantling of the infrastructure that made Thailand viable for Western expats. Today, I'm going to show you the confidential data that reveals just how deep this crisis goes. Because what's happening in Thailand right now isn't just affecting individual expats, it's destroying an entire way of life that millions of people around the world are still planning to pursue. The immigration officer's first revelation was about banking. He told me that what we reported about Bangkok Bank's restrictions was just the beginning. Internal memos he'd seen indicated that by the end of 2025, all major Thai banks would implement similar foreign account restrictions. But the real shock came when he shared the numbers. In the first 6 months of 2025, we've processed over 12,000 cases of expats who couldn't renew their visas because of banking issues. 12,000. That's more than the previous 3 years combined. What he was describing wasn't just individual bank policy changes. It was a coordinated response to international pressure. Thailand's banking sector was being forced to comply with increasingly strict anti-money laundering regulations that treated all foreign account holders as potential risks. Bangkok Bank's new requirements aren't arbitrary. Starting in January of 2025, foreign customers need long-term visas, marriage to Thai nationals, or property ownership just to maintain existing accounts. But here's what the banks won't tell you. Even meeting these requirements doesn't guarantee account security. The immigration officer explained the catch-22 that's destroying expat finances. The visa requires proof of funds in a Thai bank account, but the banks are freezing accounts faster than people can meet visa requirements. We're seeing retirees with perfect documentation who literally can't access their own money to prove they have it. According to internal banking industry reports that my source accessed, over 15,000 foreign accounts have been frozen or restricted in the first half of 2025 alone. The majority belong to Russians, but the restrictions are rapidly expanding to other nationalities, particularly Americans and British expats who can't prove ongoing income sources. But the banking crisis reveals something even more disturbing about Thailand's long-term strategy. This isn't just about compliance. It's about making foreign residency so difficult that only the wealthiest expats can survive here. Remember how Thailand announced the electronic travel authorization system would be simple and streamline entry for tourists? The immigration officer had a different perspective. The ETA isn't about making things easier. It's about creating a database of everyone who wants to come here, so we can decide who gets to stay. The ETA system, originally scheduled for December of 2024, has been delayed to June of 2025, but not for technical reasons. My source revealed that the delay was caused by disagreements within the governments about how restrictive the system should be. The tourism ministry wants it simple to encourage visitors, he explained, but immigration and national security want it complex enough to screen out undesirable long-term visitors. The system they're building can identify people who might become problems before they even arrive. The digital arrival card, the TDAC, that launched on May 1st of 2025 was supposed to be a preview of how smooth the ETA would be. Instead, it's become a preview of the bureaucratic nightmare that awaits travelers. Early reports from the TDAC implementation show processing delays, system crashes, and confusion among both travelers and immigration officers. But according to my source, these aren't bugs. They're features designed to discourage casual visitors from attempting long-term stays. When the ETA finally launches, he told me, it won't just be about getting permission to enter Thailand. The system will track your movements, your spending patterns, your accommodation history. If you look like someone who might overstay or try to live here permanently, you'll be flagged before you even board the plane. The most disturbing part, the ETA database will be integrated with banking, healthcare, and rental systems. Your travel authorization won't just determine if you can enter Thailand. It will determine what services you can access once you're here. This isn't just immigration control. It's social credit scoring for foreigners. The healthcare crisis in Thailand has reached a breaking point that most expats don't understand until they're lying in a hospital bed with a bill they can't pay. The immigration officer showed me data that revealed the true scope of the problem. Foreign patients owe Thai hospitals over 300 million baht in unpaid medical bills from 2024 alone, he told me. But that's just the reported amount. The real number is probably double that, because many hospitals have stopped treating foreigners unless they can pay upfront. The dual pricing system that was quietly implemented in 2019 has now become aggressively enforced across all public hospitals. Foreigners pay up to 4 times more than the same treatments that Thais receive, with retirees paying the highest rates in the third tier of the pricing structure. But the real trap isn't the higher prices. It's the debt collection system that's been militarized against foreign patients. Thailand has established specialized claims centers in major expat destinations, specifically to track down foreigners who leave without paying their medical bills. According to my source, these claims centers have been given unprecedented authority. They can freeze bank accounts, flag passport numbers, and even coordinate with foreign embassies to pursue debt collection in expats' home countries. We've had cases where people couldn't renew their visas because of hospital debts they didn't even know they had. The most disturbing development is the medical insurance verification program being tested in border provinces. Starting in 2025, elderly expats may be required to prove adequate health insurance coverage just to maintain their visa status. But the required coverage levels are set impossibly high. One British expat I interviewed discovered this the hard way. His insurance policy, which cost £1,800 annually and seemed comprehensive, was deemed inadequate by Thai authorities because it didn't cover potential evacuation costs exceeding $100,000. He was given 30 days to upgrade his coverage or face a visa cancellation. The message is clear. If you can't afford premium healthcare, Thailand doesn't want you here anymore. And for most retirees on fixed incomes, that premium is becoming impossible to maintain. The immigration officer's most shocking revelation concerned what he called Operation Expat Exodus, a coordinated policy to reduce Thailand's long-term foreign population by making legal residency increasingly difficult to maintain. Operation X-Ray was just the beginning, he explained. That operation caught 4,437 foreign workers illegally in the first 6 months of 2025. But the real targets aren't the illegal workers. They're the legal expats who become too comfortable thinking they're safe. The numbers are staggering. In a 120-day crackdown that ended in June of 2025, Thai authorities detained nearly 200,000 migrant workers. While most were from neighboring countries, the operation established surveillance and enforcement capabilities that can be turned on any foreign population. My source revealed a 3-phase strategy. Phase 1 was catching illegal workers. Phase 2 is making legal work authorization much more difficult to maintain. Phase 3 will target retirees and long-term tourists who don't contribute enough to the economy. The 27 occupations prohibited to foreigners have been expanded in practice. Immigration officers are now interpreting work much more broadly, including volunteer activities, informal consulting, and even social media content creation that generates any income. We're being told to look for reasons to deny renewals, he confided. Any discrepancy in documentation, any suspicious financial activity, any indication that someone might be working without authorization. The burden of proof has shifted completely to the expat to prove they're not violating regulations. But the most insidious part of Operation Expat Exodus is how it targets the support networks that help expats navigate Thai bureaucracy. Visa agents are being investigated. Expat community organizations are being monitored. And even Facebook groups are being infiltrated to identify potential violations. The immigration officer's final warning was the most chilling. By the end of 2025, we expect the foreign population in Thailand to decrease by at least 30%. That's not an accident. That's the goal. The frozen pension crisis isn't just affecting individual retirees. It's creating a demographic collapse in British expat communities across Thailand. Christopher Lee's story that made headlines in April represents thousands of similar cases that never get reported. Lee, who moved to Thailand in 2010, now receives just 137 British pounds per week compared to the 176 pounds per week that current UK residents get. But what the media coverage missed was the compound effect of 15 years of frozen increases. When Lee arrived in Thailand, the exchange rate was approximately 48 baht to the pound. His pension of 137 pounds was worth 6,576 baht weekly. Today, at current exchange rates of about 44 baht to the pound, that same pension is worth 6,028 baht, an 8% reduction in spending power from currency changes alone. But the real devastation comes from the frozen pension policy. Had Lee's pension increased with UK inflation over 15 years, he would now be receiving approximately £187 per week, £49 more than his current amount. That's over 2,000 baht per week in lost income, or about 8,600 baht per month. The immigration officer had access to demographic data that revealed the true scope of this crisis. British expat communities are shrinking by 15 to 20% per year. It's not just new retirees avoiding Thailand. Existing residents are being forced to leave as their purchasing power collapses. Over 450,000 British pensioners worldwide are trapped in the frozen pension system, with Thailand hosting one of the largest concentrations. But unlike expat in countries with stronger economies, those in Thailand have no buffer against the purchasing power erosion. The cruel irony is that while British pensioners struggle with frozen incomes, Thailand's economy has been growing. Local prices for housing, food, and services have increased steadily, creating a scissors effect that's crushing expat buying power from both sides. My source revealed that Thai authorities are well aware of this demographic shift. We're planning infrastructure and services based on declining expat populations. The golden age of affordable retirement in Thailand is over, and everyone knows except the expats still planning to move here. The final piece of Thailand's systematic expat reduction strategy involves tax policy changes that will make legal residency financially impossible for many foreigners. The immigration officer's documents reveal a coordinated approach that most expats don't understand. The proposed changes to foreign income taxation aren't just about revenue, they're about deterrence. Under the new rules being debated, anyone who spends 180 days or more in Thailand would be considered a tax resident liable for worldwide income taxation. The 2-year exemption for remitted income is a temporary measure, my source explained. The real goal is full worldwide taxation by 2026. They want to align with OECD standards, but the effect will be to make Thailand unaffordable for most foreign retirees. Here's how the math works for a typical British retiree. Under current rules, they only pay Thai tax on money brought into Thailand in the same year it's earned. Under proposed rules, all worldwide income would be taxable in Thailand at rates up to 35%, regardless of whether it's brought into the country. For Christopher Lee, whose £137 weekly pension equals about £7,124 annually, the tax implications could be devastating. Even with tax treaties preventing double taxation, the administrative burden of filing returns in both countries, hiring tax professionals, and proving tax compliance would consume a significant portion of his limited income. But the tax changes reveal the most insidious aspect of Thailand's strategy. By implementing policies that align with international standards, they can claim to be modernizing and improving governance while actually making the country uninhabitable for middle-class foreign retirees. The immigration officer was blunt about the strategy. We want the foreign investors and the wealthy retirees. The middle-class pensioners who come here to stretch their money, they're not providing enough economic value to justify the social and infrastructure costs they create. The tax policy isn't being implemented in isolation. It's coordinated with banking restrictions, healthcare cost increases, visa complications, and immigration enforcement to create a comprehensive system that gradually squeezes out undesirable foreign residents. The most disturbing revelation from my immigration source was about Thailand's development of what he called the comprehensive foreign monitoring system that integrates data from multiple government agencies and private sector partners. We're building a complete profile of every foreigner in Thailand, he explained. Banking transactions, visa applications, hospital visits, rental agreements, utility bills, mobile phone records, everything goes into the system. The system isn't officially called social credits, but it functions similarly to China's model. Foreigners receive scores based on their financial stability, legal compliance, community integration, and perceived long-term value to Thailand. The scoring algorithm considers factors like bank account balances and transaction patterns, visa history and compliance record, healthcare costs and insurance coverage, tax filings and payment history, community involvement and Thai language ability, employment or business contributions to the economy. Low scores trigger enhanced scrutiny for visa renewals, banking restrictions, healthcare access limitations, rental and utility service denials, and increased immigration enforcement attention. High scores provide expedited processing, preferential banking terms, healthcare discounts, and pathway to permanent residency. My source revealed that the system is already being tested in major expat areas. Phuket, Pattaya, Chiang Mai, and parts of Bangkok are pilot zones. Every foreign resident in these areas has a score, even if they don't know it yet. The implications are staggering. Your ability to renew your visa, open a bank account, rent an apartment, or even receive medical treatment could depend on an algorithmic assessment of your value to Thailand. The goal is to automate the process of determining which foreigners can stay and which ones should leave, he explained. By 2026, the system will make these decisions without human intervention. Not everyone is accepting the systematic dismantling of expat life in Thailand passively. My immigration source introduced me to what he called the Resistance Network, a growing underground of expats, Thai supporters, and even government officials who are working to document and resist these policy changes. There are people inside the system who think this is wrong, he told me. Not everyone agrees with the policy of driving out middle-class foreign retirees. Some of us are keeping records, documenting abuses, and preparing for eventual policy reversals. The resistance operates through encrypted messaging apps, informal networks of lawyers and visa agents, documentation of policy violations and discriminatory enforcement, coordination with international advocacy groups, and preparation of legal challenges to discriminatory policies. James, a 15-year resident who asked not to use his full name, explained their strategy. We're not trying to fight the system directly. That's impossible. We're building support networks, sharing information, and helping people navigate the chaos while documenting everything for future legal action. Another expat joins the conversation. Sarah, a former embassy employee, revealed the international dimension. Multiple governments are aware of what's happening to their citizens in Thailand. There are ongoing diplomatic discussions about discriminatory treatment of foreign residents. My source was cautiously optimistic. Policies can change. Politicians who implement unpopular measures face consequences. If enough people document what's happening and resist through legal channels, there's hope for reversal. But he was also realistic about the challenges. The people driving these policies are motivated by nationalism, and economic protectionism. They see foreign retirees as a burden rather than a benefit. Changing those attitudes will take time and political pressure. After 3 months of investigation, I reached a sobering conclusion. The Thailand that attracted millions of Western retirees and long-term residents is disappearing, and it's not coming back. The immigration officer's final message was both warning and obituary. The Thailand that your audience dreams about, affordable paradise for middle-class Western retirees, existed for maybe 15 years, from 2005 to 2020. Those conditions were temporary, and they're never returning. The policy changes we've documented aren't random responses to individual problems. They're the coordinated implementation of a national strategy to transform Thailand from a retirement destination for ordinary Western pensioners into a playground for wealthy international investors. Banking restrictions, healthcare cost increases, immigration crackdown, tax policy changes, and social monitoring systems aren't separate initiatives. They're integrated components of a comprehensive plan to reduce Thailand's foreign population while retaining only the wealthiest and most economically productive expatriates. For current expats in Thailand, the choice is stark. Adapt to the new reality of being wealthy enough to meet increasingly restrictive requirements, or begin planning your exit before the system make departure financially impossible. For prospective expats still planning retirement in Thailand, the message is even clearer. The dream you're chasing is already dead. The margins that made Thailand affordable for middle-class retirees have been systematically eliminated, and they're not being restored. The immigration officer's final words haunt me. We're not destroying the expat dream by accident. We're killing it by design, because Thailand has decided that dream was unsustainable. The people who built their retirement plans around Thailand's old policies are going to learn that governments can change the rules whenever they want. Episodes 1 through 4 of this series documented individual strategies. People whose careful plans were destroyed by circumstances they couldn't predict. But this episode revealed the truth behind those strategies. They weren't accidents or isolated failures. They were the intended consequences of a systematic policy to end the era of affordable Western retirement in Thailand. The paradise was real, but it was always temporary. And for the millions of people worldwide who are still planning to follow that dream, the harsh reality is that they're already too late. The Thailand Truth Talks continue, but the truth we've uncovered isn't one that anyone wanted to hear. The golden age of expat life in Thailand is over, and the new age belongs only to the wealthy.